is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 321. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E. Sitting here on a Wednesday, beautiful Austin, Texas, looking ahead to a weekend with a new opportunity. How are you feeling, my friend?
I am doing my best to get excited about the weekend ahead. It hasn't hit me yet. I am not very excited about it. Looked at this Colorado team a little bit. They're not very good. We're also not very good. But as we get a little closer to Saturday, I think that I'll perk up. But other than that, doing great, man. Ready to chat Austin FC and everything that's going on.
Yeah, man. I mean, almost no matter the state of the team throughout our fandom from day one, match day rolls around, the juices do start flowing. But I don't blame you or anybody for finding it tough to get excited, more than 3 days out from kickoff right now. It's like we always say, you got to give fans something to cheer about, and that applies to being excited in the middle of the week. So we will preview the road match here coming up against Colorado Rapids. We've got a number of news items to hit on as well. Last business day in the nonsense will close us out before we get into the rest of episode 321 here in the North End. Just want to remind you, as we always do, that you can support the show financially for free just by downloading the audio versions of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. So toggle on auto downloads for the North End, and that'll support us in that fashion going forward. And you won't have to think about it again. You can go the extra mile, rate and review the show wherever you get your pods if you feel so inclined. And if you are watching on our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button because it does help us grow the show. You can hit the bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. Of course, here on episode 321, hit the thumbs up, like the video. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. We kind of ended off on Sunday talking about this. Want to jog everybody's memory here to start our midweek episode. Watch party this Saturday. If you aren't going out to Den Verde for this one and hanging around in ATX, you can watch with a bunch of other like-minded Verde and Black fans with Los Verdes over there at Hop Squad. Going back to the homeland here, E. Oh, excuse me. You do a little bit of light reading here. Not Hop Squad. That was last week. We're at the Brutorium this Saturday. And again, reminder that South Ender Pale Ale is back on tap there. And you can also get those can koozies with the logo on those. Brutorium's over at 6015 Dillard Circle here in Austin. It is a 8:30 p.m. Central kickoff. Means that watch party's getting started at 7:30. You go over to the Brutorium. They've got on-site and some street parking available nearby. We'll be indoor viewing, which again, this time of the year is key. So Brutorium this Saturday for the Rapids match. Looking forward to another good watch party with our friends at Los Verdes.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to Los Verdes, man.
So E, first piece of news we want to touch on here on episode 321 is looking from a more wide view at the league and potential changes coming down very, very soon. Because if you missed it, I wouldn't blame you. Tonight is the MLS All-Star Game. Last night was the skills competition out there in Charlotte. And E, I think number one for us, or at least me, I won't speak for everybody else, I have next to no interest in this for I think 3 reasons. Number one, not in Austin this year. So we were going to take in everything that we could last year, no matter what, because it was potentially once in a fandom type of experience there that week. Number 2, just got done with the World Cup. I'm outside of Austin FC and its affiliates, I am pretty much soccered out for the time being. And number 3, no Austin FC representation here, at least at the first team level. We did have, I believe, Clayton Glenn out there in the MLS Next All-Star Game. And dude, I don't know if you saw this. I think Ilie was out there in person supporting Clayton this week. So yeah, another big shout out to our captain. Congrats to Clayton. But yeah, were you even was Was it on your radar that All-Star Week was this week?
No, caught me off guard completely.
Yeah.
And like for number 3 and what you said on your little list there, if someone was participating in anything that I could have like had someone to cheer for,
right,
I would have tuned in, but no, I will not be watching.
So the news coming out of here, though, and this was reported by Tom Bogert and Paul Tenorio of The Athletic, the MLS owners will hear proposed changes to the league's roster and spending rules this week in the article here. And if you go to Tom Bogert's social timelines, he posted a gift link so everybody can read this article for free there at The Athletic, which is key. Shout out to whoever made that decision. I saw our buddy Craig saying something similar. Like, clearly the Times reporters, the Athletic reporters have been encouraged to share out gift links so people who don't necessarily subscribe can read some of these bigger stories, and maybe you pull a couple subs in that way. But reading through this article, some of the bullet points that I think all Austin FC sickos should know. It was the Sporting and Competition Committee meeting to discuss this proposal yesterday on Tuesday. Board of Governors will hear the proposal today on Wednesday. I'm not certain if Anthony Precourt is on that Board of Governors. I think he is. To my knowledge, the Board of Governors is some percentage of the owners in the league, not all of them. And so this proposal, if you go through the story, is centered around a more open roster and salary cap structure in MLS going forward. Reportedly, sources telling Tenorio and Bogert that this proposal would maintain the designated player carve-out in the roster rules, which I agree is important to keep going forward. But also could include rules to continue to incentivize signing young players, maybe as young DPs, right? Which we already have a young DP option in the rules, but shifting things around that, or a variation of the U22 model that we currently have. So those special roster slots appear to be remaining in some form or fashion if this gets passed. They also will look to simplify the salary cap structure while allowing MLS teams more freedom to spend across the entire roster if they choose. So maybe we're going to raise the salary cap floor along with the ceiling, right? To make sure everybody's spending a little bit more, but giving teams, as they said in the article, that freedom to spend more if they choose across the full roster. And Don Garber, who is on the way out as commissioner, I don't think it's this window, but I think at the end of this season, he said to The Athletic in the days before the World Cup final that a change like this is not a maybe do, it is a must do for Major League Soccer going forward. I tend to agree with the commish there. And the CBA, the current CBA, right, between the league and the Players Association expires in January of 2028. So the article states that the goal is to implement these changes in time for that 27-28 season. And you think that's going to have to include a new CBA by that time. So I think there is some things to discuss here, things we like, things we have questions about, but also so much to get done here if you're trying to get a CBA done in the next calendar year. So what are some of your thoughts off top? And then I certainly have some thoughts. And I think one big question that pertains to Austin FC and some of our recent moves.
Just surface level, I think this is something that we've been in favor of for a little while here. Some of the rules and regulations that were in place seem to be very much handcuffing a lot of these ownerships, groups and everything in regard to getting better players. You've seen the league line up with the European leagues now in regard to the transfer window. You want to be able to compete for some of the best players in the world. And you've seen guys come over now, obviously Lewandowski arriving here, some other names that I'm probably forgetting off the top of my head. But anyway, we can make it easier to up the talent floor in this league makes sense to me. And simplifying the roster sheet and how that's going to look, salary cap and all that, I think is good for fans as well, because it's incredibly confusing. A lot of this stuff, and I talk about it more with you than probably your average fan does. But it seems like a good idea to me. And what Garber said as a must do, I am on board with that.
In my eyes, I think we need more roster slots here, right? I assume that would come with these changes. I think 2 senior slots is a minimum. 3 feels like the magic number to me, and I'm certainly not arguing if they add more senior slots than that. And, who knows if we still have senior supplemental under the new structure, right? I think one thing is for sure, that it is going to still contain some very confusing elements, especially as we potentially transition away from the current structure. You cannot just change everything at the drop of a hat, or at least you would think so, right? And this is something that I think certainly caught my eye in the article, and some other Austin fans talking about it as well. The proposal would undoubtedly help players, however, by freeing up teams to spend money across more of the roster as they see fit. By eliminating current tools like general allocation money and targeted allocation money, teams would be able to spend more aggressively across the entire roster to lift the overall quality of teams and enhance depth. So, you sent me this. And that is a more simple way of what my question was in the Patreon Discord when this came across. So, and for those of you just listening to the audio version, this is a meme that he put up that says, acquires historic Gam gets eliminated. And my question that I put in the Discord earlier this week was, how does the league transition away from the allocation money structure and make sure that teams who may have just made a giant Gam move are compensated and or rewarded accordingly for the additional flexibility that those clubs have in their coffers? And so, I think what comes to mind first is like, well, you just get that kind of as additional salary spend to spend by X date. Mm-hmm. It certainly can't be a 1-season allocation, because you're like, again, let's say we get 2 million additional Gam that we have to use next season or in 27, 28, what have you. Well, we're going to use 2 million in Gam, and then all of a sudden we're stuck with 2 million in salaries that we don't have the Gam for anymore the next season. So I'm very interested to see how the league will deal with something like that. And it needs to be communicated at the top levels for those in the know making moves right now in the current open transfer window, because if Gam matters less, or maybe not at all, in the future, or when we make this transition, then you're even thinking about international slots differently at present. So again, I assume everybody coming out of these meetings will get debriefed, so to speak, and we certainly will be left in the dark, I imagine, until the Athletic gets another scoop about it. But that is my one big concern right now when it pertains to Austin FC. I'm excited overall for the league in terms of the general information around this meeting and this proposal. And we know that our ownership has no trouble in the past shelling out big bucks for players that they think are going to take us over the top. We have a new leadership structure coming in that will hopefully hit on more players than they miss on, which we have had trouble with in the past. But I'm concerned about the allocation money thing, dude, because we literally just traded one of our best and most beloved players for this mechanism that appears to be, at least the aim is, phase it out at best, eliminate it completely at worst.
Yeah, and I have no idea, like you said, how this would transition, how this would play out. I really don't know. So I'm concerned as well. We'll see what happens, man. But it's got really big implications. I mean, the structures that we have now, you get rewarded with Gam for certain things that you do. That's acquiring all of this. That's part of the reason why Roto lost his job. And now we're looking at this, man. It's going to be interesting. I am also concerned about it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess we'll just have to kind of discuss this as it comes. I don't know how much value there is in us really debating the merits of certain avenues at this point. But again, it throws another piece of uncertainty into what Austin FC is doing at present. And I hope they have something fairly concrete that our interim sporting committee here can be kind of using as their guide as they move through the rest of this window. And then, of course, the winter window, which will be here before you know it. Speaking of that interim sporting committee, shout out to Verdes Nation once again for putting this out into the Austin FC universe. This man here on the screen, he is Dean Costolas. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing coach's name there. I don't know if we call him a coach, but Dean here on his LinkedIn has listed Austin FC as of this month as his current place of employment as the Senior VP of Soccer Strategy. Dean Costellas is Coach Curtin's former head data analyst at Philadelphia Union. You can see on the screen there, spent almost 8 years with the Philly Union, was the director of soccer analysis for just over 3 years there, the final 3 years of Coach Curtin's tenure. So you look at some of the moves that are being made right now, and another one we'll talk about, that Duber loan that seems to have progressed here, although not official from the club. I imagine Costellas here has a heavy hand in a number of these decisions, potentially including that Danny trade that went down about a month ago. So piece of news here, not officially announced by the club yet, but on LinkedIn, and you put it on LinkedIn, you got to think there's some sort of official going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. And someone that Jim Curtin trusts, once we get in here and start changing this thing up, we'll see how it goes, man. I don't know anything about this dude other than Curtin was there with him. He did well in Philly.
Yeah, and you think about what Philly is known for, right? Philly is known for being relatively cheap. And so if you just think about the last the years 21 through 24 that Costellas, we'll see how we could say that, Dean here, the last 4 years that he was the 4 years that he was the director of analytics with Philly, overall finishes in the table, 6th, 2nd, 5th, 22nd. That was when Coach Curtin was on the way out. But clearly this was a piece of Coach Curtin's puzzle in how to make a team with less than the average spend in this league, hang out around and sometimes at the top, right? Yeah. 2020 won the Shield, second in 2022. I'm very excited for this cool. in terms of these guys being back together, just because of the history. Like you said, we don't know anything about this guy personally, but piecing things together, I think this is, again, a piece of Curtin's past that we should absolutely be welcoming into the fold here in Austin.
I totally agree with that.
Especially because it's always been third party outlets that are, ranking MLS teams based on how much they use data analysis in their front office. So again, it's not like that's coming out from any sort of big time source that I can recall. But when I've seen articles or blog posts regarding that type of stuff in this league, Austin is consistently in the bottom third. And we're not 21st in those in terms of the resources allocated, the full-time employees on the staff dedicated to that kind of stuff. And you know me, I'm a fan of spending on that type of stuff. So speaking of Duber, right, we did get this update today on Wednesday from Luciano Garcia, who was the source that Uriel Ucht was amplifying that we talked about on, was that Sunday or Thursday's episode? I'm not sure. Sometime in the last week. Yep. Here's the update, Nico Dubersarsky is reportedly traveling to Argentina right now, may already be there, to join Tigre on loan from Austin FC. Details from Garcia claim that this is a 12-month loan, no fee as previously rumored, and with a purchase option. So we get in this latest update to the rumor that this will be a year-long loan. Your thoughts on this, as assuming it comes to pass? Anything that's differed right now? We know the loan duration. What are your thoughts on the latest update for Duber?
Still disappointed, man. I don't think this is what you have in mind for a U22 initiative slot that you wanted here for a considerable amount of time. No fee, potential purchase option on top of that. It seems disappointing. Now, if you can go down there and develop a bit more and get more playing time, we can get him back, then that's a great thing. But we'll see how that plays out, and I just don't think what Duber's done up until this point has increased my confidence that he can, move forward and progress at the MLS level and be a night in starter for this club. So we'll see how it goes. I'm disappointed about it, man. And it's hard to say, you know, we're doing this to push more of a youth movement because he's U22 slot. He's young. He's one of the young guys. So
yeah,
it is what it is. And if the competition here, which is a weird thing to say, given the state of the team, just wasn't allowing for Duber to find time, then it might be a miss, man.
Well, a 12-month loan to me signifies that the most likely outcome here is that we are not intending to bring Nico Dubersarsky back into the fold here. Because if that were the case, I'd feel like we'd want him around for the sprint season.
Yeah.
Because 12-month loan, we're going to just leave an international slot and U22 slot vacant so he can potentially come back in next summer. It feels like to me that finding a new solution, whether that is that purchase option being picked up by Tigre a year from now or being able to transfer him to a different club, to me at this moment, again, the loan's not even official from the club yet, but assuming it is and this report is accurate, it feels like we've probably seen the last of Dubersarsky. And I'm with you. It's a disappointment. Just like any special roster slot that we use, we want those guys to come here and find success. So anything else for you on the news of the week?
No, sir.
All right, let's move into our Colorado Rapids preview. I'm on the article at the northendpodcast.com for Saturday's match, so I'll get us started here, talking about our opponent. And this is our first meeting with the Rapids, or the Pids, as they are affectionately referred to. Some of the longtime MLS or Austin FC fans will probably remember that the Rapids are one of the original 10 MLS clubs, and though their colors are now burgundy and sky blue, the Rapids were originally green. And I will bring it up once again, as we tend to do annually here, that let me tell you, Austin FC does Verdes much better than the Colorado Rapids did in their attempt. They played their first decade at Mile High Stadium there in Denver, and actually led the league in attendance in 2002. And you say, like, why is that part of your fucking preview here? It's because there's not a ton for this team to stand on from a success standpoint. Now, they do have an MLS Cup. They won it in 2010. 16-team league at that point. I'm not taking anything away from them. It's just the facts of their situation. In a 30-year history, in a league that is now 30 teams, one cup, it's more than we got, but you would hope for one in our first 30 years here. But obviously tougher with 30 teams now. Dude, it's not even just the lack of accolades at the team level across the spectrum of trophies that MLS teams have available to them. Even their rivalry matches, right? Like their Copa Tejas equivalent is the Rocky Mountain Cup. And that's just them and Real Salt Lake. They don't have that triangle like the Cali teams do, or Cascadia, right? Yep. Just the 2-team competition here. And that Rocky Mountain Cup goes back to 2005. That's when RSL came into the league. They have won the Rocky Mountain Cup just 7 times, and that's including them winning it back-to-back. Those 2 teams split their regular season matches last year, both winning 1-0 on the road. So they tied on, they split the games, tied on aggregate, tied on away goals. So their third tiebreaker in this competition is just the last year's winner retains the cup. So they kind of just by default got it back-to-back there. And, 7 of 21 years, I think they've had this. Again, there's just hasn't been a ton to cheer for in Colorado.
Yeah, man. This is a team that we've been linked with, I feel like, often in regard to like positioning on the table. And I think that goes to point to their mediocrity over this time as well, because we haven't been anything special outside of our fantastic 2022 season there. Tough place to play too. You think you could leverage that altitude and the elevation there into finding a more successful roster, but it feels like this team has been just kind of like a stepping stone for a lot of players. You see guys in and then they move on from them. You don't want to pay them, what have you. I know that they got off some pretty bad contracts that they had from some decisions in the past to move this roster forward, but still you look where they're sitting at the table right now and it's just not anything that's overly impressive.
Well, I shouldn't leave out that this team did get third place in the 2024 Leagues Cup there. Right? There's no trophy in the case, but if I recall correctly, I think third place in Leagues Cup did get them a CONCACAF berth. So that was something there. Prior to 2024, they hired Chris Armas as their head coach. Armas had that third place finish in Leagues Cup. He won both Rocky Mountain Cups that he presided over, qualified for playoffs in his first year, took a step back last year, but the Rapids also kind of tanked the end of the year. They traded Georgi Mihailovic, who was, in my opinion, their best player. I don't know if you could argue for anybody else outside of Hafa Navahu for that title in 2025. So Mihailovic to Toronto, I think it was an $8 million deal. And then the end of 2025 was the end of Coach Armas's original deal, and they did not extend him. So Armas out. And speaking of players out, other than Mihailovic, they traded Cole Bassett to Portland, longtime member of the Rapids, right? Calvin Harris and Ali Larraz both left in free agency to Sporting and the Whitecaps, respectively. You think about a guy like Larraz, who in that 2023 season with Rapids 2 was a terror. At the next pro level, held his own, and now up there with the Whitecaps. They also, you were hinting at some of the bad contracts they had. Andreas Maxu, right? That DP center back, which, like, there's a reason you don't see that a ton around MLS. He had his option declined. But of course, with those guys going out, Armas not renewed, you've got some additions here on the staff and player personnel. They hired Matt Wells as their head coach before this season, who was more recently the Tottenham assistant coach. So not dissimilar from the Eric Ramsey hire a few years back in Minnesota, right? Coach Wells, only 37 years old. His first coaching role was the Tottenham U21 assistant at age 26. So has risen through the ranks over the last decade. And right, Coach Armas in the past, he was more of a guy, a coach rather, who wanted his team to press, be aggressive. From what I can tell, Coach Wells brings a similar style, though he does have a few quirks. I was reading a Backheeled article profile on Coach Wells earlier this week. Apparently, on certain goal kicks, he's got NFL style play calls from the sideline, other like restarts from there. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like him holding up signs or like literal physical signs that you see on the sideline. But this, what he said, Coach Wells, that stems from frustrations he had at the Premier League level on certain restarts where as an assistant he would see something and then that would play out to the detriment of his team. And so he's like, well, this is just something I can do to try to limit that frustration, almost like a you see something, say something type of coaching quirk there. So something that I will be looking for on the sidelines this Saturday. Some of the player personnel they brought in as well. Dante Seeley was acquired via trade with Montreal. He had 9 goals, 2 assists in 2025. Been off and on in terms of his form this season, but in my opinion, still a very dangerous young attacking player out there on the wing for the Rapids. They also brought in Hamzat Ojediran, who is a deep-lying defensive mid. He came over from Ligue 1 side, RC Lens. So again, this is a team that, like you said, not always breaking the bank for acquisitions, but they've also had some big sales of late, which I think has leaned into them getting some of these guys, trade market, international market. Speaking of international market, dude, Lucas Harrington is that 18-year-old center back they have, was actually signed last summer, but didn't come over to MLS till this new season began in January. And like, this kid is so good, dude. He's likely going to a top 5 league this window, and if not, next window. Plays in tonight's All-Star game and was Australia's youngest ever player to play in a World Cup this summer. So you got to watch out for Harrington there. I wouldn't mind if he was rested, came off the bench maybe because of his All-Star travel. Yeah, I think there's a big red reason why he won't be rested in this one, but Harrington, certainly a player to watch. Also, at the end of May, dude, they traded with Seattle for Georgi Manungu, right? Winger, $2 million GAM trade. So you see the GAMflation, right? Georgi Manungu going for right below that Danny Pereira Gam return. So any thoughts on those player personnel notes? Any of those guys jog any sort of memories for you?
Yeah, I'm remembering the Harrington kid now and him getting significant time, I believe, versus I think Egypt in the knockout. I think he played the majority of the game, if not all of it. So I was not aware that he was playing with the Rapids. I like Georgie. I think that he's an interesting talent. I think, like you said there, that $2 million buy for him. I feel like you're buying really high there with what he showed in Seattle, but from what he did show at times when he was, really at his top, was special kind of stuff, in my opinion. I also am a fan of Dante Seeley. I think he's a talented attacking player as well. And once Kamani Stewart-Bain starts developing and really getting going, this team's going to be on the up and up.
I still love you.
We got a spot for you.
Yeah. So far this season, and you were correct, Harrington made his debut at the World Cup, third group stage game, 0-0 draw against Paraguay, and then played the full 120 against Egypt in that round of 32 match. But so far this season, the Rapids, 6 wins, 1 draw, 10 losses, 26 goals for, 25 conceded. You can see the table here if you're watching on the YouTube. So you can see that's 19 points, sitting in 13th place. So just 2 points above Austin FC. This is providing us with an opportunity this weekend to move up a spot in the table with a win. And look, man, the Rapids started this season very hot.
Yeah.
They won 4 of their first 6 games and had a +9 goal differential in those games. That included a 6-2 ass whooping of the Dynamo. So salute to the Rapids for that one. But obviously, that makes them just 2 wins, 1 draw, 8 losses in their 11 league games since, with a -8 goal differential. So on the season as a whole, they are 16th in goals per game, but just 24th in expected goals, 29th in shots on target per game, and just 22nd in big chances created. They're 13th best in goals conceded per game, and that matches up very closely with their 14th in XG allowed. Certainly matches up more than those offensive numbers, right? They're 7th in the league in average possession, 54.5% per game, and just 26th in touches in the opposition penalty area. And physicality, 4th in fouls per match, 1st in yellow cards, tied for 2nd in red cards with 5 this season. So this is a team that is going to come try to impose their will on their opponent, especially playing Mile High there in Commerce City.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that hot start, and after that 6-2 thrashing of Houston, they just really went through a gauntlet. You had Inter Miami, LAFC, Vancouver, back to back to back there. Then you play that Houston team again. St. Louis, who has gotten hot as of late. You got a dub versus San Jose in the Open Cup, but still you had to play Salt Lake and Minnesota, 2 teams that are not, absolute ass. Then you're coming out of right before the World Cup break, you play a quality Dallas team. Then you come out of the World Cup break, you got San Diego and that super hot St. Louis team. So they did run through a very difficult stretch after that initial hot start for them. Sitting at that +1 goal differential there obviously looks a little bit odd given where they're at on the position in the positioning of the table. That 6-2 win going a long way there. But I mean, like you said, just 2 points ahead of Austin, where we're sitting at -13 goal differential. They're +1 right now. So I think that schedule did play a bit of a role. Do I think that they're probably a team that's in that wild card range and below that line? I do. But again, it is tough to play in that stadium there and in that elevation. And we've known for a while that Navajo is a talented goal scoring threat and someone you have to really, really account for. So, I'm not taking anything for granted with this team and where they're sitting at currently, because I don't have a whole lot of confidence in what we're going to go out there and do.
Yeah, it's a 2-4 build for Colorado right now. 2 of those U22 slots are vacant. And you mentioned Navajo, right? Which, if you are unfamiliar with the player, his name is Rafael Navarro, pronounced Hafa Navajo. From what I know,
Yeah,
we do our best with the pronunciations here in the North End. It is Navajo, number 9, leading them in scoring and goal contributions, 8 goals, 4 assists in his 17 starts. But Paxton Aronson right behind him, 4 goals, 5 assists in his 17 appearances, 15 of them being starts. I did hear a Colorado outlet call him Pax 10 Aronson
there we go
this week, which, a little creative there.
There we go.
Longtime Rapids attacker Darren Yappy's got 3 goals, 2 assists in his 17 appearances, just 10 starts. And then Wayne Frederick, 2 goals, 5 assists in his 14 appearances with 10 starts. Kind of like you mentioned, of late, they did have a double game week just like Austin last week. They played San Diego and beat San Diego 1-0, described by some Rapids fans as a boring game where both teams looked rusty.
Well, you could have lost to him 5-0.
Yeah. God damn it. They played in a 4-3-3 here, which you see on the screen if you're watching on the YouTube channel. But this is their lineup for that St. Louis match that they played over the weekend. But jumping back to San Diego real quick, it was Loic Williams making his Rapids debut, I believe, as a Spanish defender, center back, fullback. Played center back against San Diego, scored the winner in second half stoppage time, and then was run out there as a left back against St. Louis on the weekend. Harrington subbed on in the 90th minute against San Diego, but then played the full 90 against St. Louis. And why I said earlier that I imagine he will be playing the full 90 against us is because at St. Louis, they got absolutely smothered thanks to a 12th minute red card for center back Rob Holding. Dogso deserved, and of course Holding will now be suspended for this match. Dude, they had 2 shots, none on target, 0.1 XG. Look, it doesn't take a red card for us to do that now, so get on our level. And I also have heard some, again, doing our normal typical subterfuge here in the early part of the week, some Rapids fans who are frustrated by the midfield pairing of Jitterin and Josh Atencio sitting behind Aronson there, because both of those guys, not necessarily your classic box-to-box midfielders, more deep-lying, right, defensive type of guys. And maybe, some fans suggesting that is hindering their attack a little bit. But that's what I got for this team, man. Again, they have the individual pieces to hit you real quick. You've seen that, especially in some of those early season results, right? Just blitzing teams, couple big blowouts in those early matches. But at the same time, it's also not an ideal roster build. Clearly on the other side, sitting just 2 points above us and being without Rob Holding. With as great as Harrington is, I think Holding is the clear leader on that back line, especially with Zach Steffen, goalkeeper, who we haven't even mentioned yet, still out with the shoulder injury. So it will be the very capable Nico Hansen in net this Saturday. But in my eyes, Hansen is an above average backup keeper in this league. I think he's just fine. He's not a target for us.
Yeah, but a downgrade from Steffen. For sure. Yeah, man. I'm just worried about how difficult that early schedule was for them, or I should say mid schedule was for them, and how they might be looking at this second half of the season. We've been a get right spot for a while here. And I know that they're probably looking for something out of this matchup, but I'm ready to go to us if you are, because I think there's just so many questions.
A plethora
of questions.
Oh, what? Do that again.
I'm trying to combine plethora with Shemi's name. It was a tough pull there.
I'm gonna have to slow that down.
A ton of questions surrounding this club, man, and most of them aren't fucking good.
Yeah, talking about us here. Media availability is Thursday morning, likely when most of you who aren't the sickest of the sickos are listening to this. Of course, we're looking to hear an update, if we've got one, on Mikael Dessler and John Bell, and maybe some more clarity on the Jaden Nelson situation?
Maybe a little clarity on that situation would be great.
I would love that. And of course, I also hope there are questions about potential tactical changes that we'll see out there on Saturday. Not that we should expect to hear anything concrete, but I would like those questions to be asked nonetheless. And of course, you and I think everybody else that cares about this team desires some formation or tactical changes, maybe both. I would like to see the inverted stuff go away. Our buddy Profe has been calling this lineup or this tactic the quadverted winger backs.
I just call it ass. Do you think we're switching it? I don't, because if we just did that shit for 2 games for funsies and now we're just going to bail on it, I think I'll be even more upset about it.
Well, I would love for you to be more upset because I don't want to see it.
Okay. Do you think that's what's going to happen here? I don't.
I don't know, man. I don't know until we see them run out there. Because again, we're not gonna see it in the fucking formation that the team puts out, or that FOTMob has, or that Apple TV has before the game. We're gonna have to wait till the first whistle to see what we're rolling out here. And like, if we're gonna play like Jim Curtin wants us to play, man, then do it. And from what I can tell, watching, and look, I've only watched like a game and a half and probably more like a game and a quarter of these old Philly tapes early this week. But playing like Jim Curtin, from what I can tell, means playing a fucking 4-back and 4-4-2 diamond like we expected. That's not what we've been doing. And also, this is what I do on FIFA. So you hire me, Tony, to be a part of this staff because I love the 4-4-2 diamond.
Yeah.
But some of the things that I've taken away from watching this film is that the center backs, and we knew this with Glesnes and Elliott, right? The center backs can pass very well. And not just directly through the midfield, but some of those changing balls to their wide players. The center backs are relied on heavily. That game and a half I watched, again, did not invert the wingers or the fullbacks. So again, I want to go away from this because this does not seem, again, unless I continue to go back through this film and I see that on some of these games, I'm not a fan of it. And the lone 6 at the bottom of the diamond, also very important. Like, they have, right, Jose Martinez. Brujo Martinez was there and just the mainstay in their defensive midfield for that era of success under Jim Curtin. So from the bit that I've taken in and how we're shopping guys clearly, maybe that Emi Martinez rumor has legs, and maybe not for this window, and maybe not Emi Martinez, but for that standout 6, I think. And again, this is not too reckless. We won't play the drop, but I think from the little bit that I've watched, again, don't take my word as gospel. You can wait for Jim Curtin. You can go back and watch, right? Games on Apple TV. You have to look a little bit harder for the games before that. Before the Apple TV deal, that is. But like DP6, I think could be in the cards for us.
Interesting. So if someone's going to tell me that Davey Arnaud just kind of made this up and just started doing this after the World Cup break, I'm probably going to lose my shit because
well, get ready.
Everything that I've been, speculating and told, because like this wasn't what Davey did when he was the interim before.
It's not. We didn't play
like that.
To be fair to him, he had a whole second preseason here to change things. Not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's a lot easier to try some bullshit the way this has started out compared to the 6 days that he got between Nico being fired and us getting our ass beat at St. Louis.
What was the other? He had one other interim right after Josh.
Colorado Decision Day 24.
Okay, and that was at
which
home.
Was the Kolmanich miracle 2 assists in stoppage time.
Okay, and that was not the inverted wing. Like Kolmanich was on his correct side in that.
No,
formation.
This is a new thing. And again, I don't think it's crazy. If this is coming from Jim Curtin, then I would be like, okay, it makes sense that it's coming from Jim Curtin because that's what we thought, that there is some communication through however many channels there has to be to avoid, whatever problems that would cause. But man, Now just where we're learning more and more as we go, as we have time to go back and watch, as we listen and learn from people who know more about Jim Curtin and his exploits in Philly and his style than we do. Now I'm thinking that there might be aspects to this that are just Davey going out there experimenting. And like, I actually might counter your anger for that, dude, because the fact that what we've seen the last 2 games is not apparently what Jim Curtin wants to do does make me feel better a little bit.
Okay. Well, wow. All right. I'd be flabbergasted if this was just something Davey has come up with here and tried to implement. We had our DP guarding our fastest player last game. He was defending him. Owen Wolf is completely neutered in this formation.
Yeah.
He can't find touches. He can't find avenues to distribute the ball. You've once again isolated poor Mirtu Azuni out on the left side. He's hugging that sideline at times. It is beyond clear that Guilherme Biru cannot play a left center back. Svatak cannot be the point man or the middle man in a 3 center back look. And Brandon Hines struggles with that other 3rd center back position. This is nuts to me because I was wondering about that stuff and I want to go watch some Philly stuff from the past as well. But I remember just kind of distinctly being like the few times we did see Philly, I think I would have noticed 2 inverted wingbacks on the wrong side, of the field the entire game.
Like, so, Kai Wagner, he didn't play on the fucking right, dude. Always on the left.
And then, so then to not get out of this in the last matchup, when it clearly wasn't working, and the excuse or the reasoning that, I guess we just kind of made up in our head or, just speculated.
Yeah, we like to do that.
Was that we were sticking with it because we were eventually going to be in this. And this was some sort of trial run for a lot of these guys here. Man, God, that would be infuriating to have done what you did to those poor dudes in these first 2 games out of the World Cup.
Yeah.
And take that fool's fucking gold from the Seattle game and be like, yeah, we're going to do this for 90 minutes versus Houston.
Well, I don't think I have a big issue with coming out like that against Houston. Again, we saw what happened, but you win, fool's gold or not, you win. If you want to roll out the same or similar stuff, I get it. The lack of adjustments was what threw me completely off kilter and made me and everybody else extremely upset, I think. So, look, man, I want to go back and watch Philly games from different seasons, right? I'm looking at 2024 so far. Because Coach Curtin's philosophy may have changed between the seasons he was at Philly and between then and now. So we're not going to get the full picture just from cherry picking a couple games each season. And like Jim Curtin, if he's as good as we think he is, he'll adjust here to the weapons he has at his disposal, right? But it's an interesting window into what to expect and also comparing and contrasting what you see on this Philly tape to what we've seen these first 2 games and our theory about the communication between the interim staff and Coach Curtin. I mean, go ahead.
Alienated Jaden Nelson, I think, because of this formational
potentially,
change.
Potentially.
Facu is not happy in this either. Not that he's been the most happy-go-lucky guy since he got here.
Yeah,
but he's clearly not pleased with it. You got Shemi in there; he gave it his all. Guilherme does not like playing left center back.
Yeah,
and Owen Wolf, like I said at the top here, has just been completely neutered. You've taken away the stuff that he does really, really fucking well and creating chances for this team. So, good God, if this was just some weird experiment for Davey to try to get something that he wanted in here to find some fucking tape on it, then, like you said, I don't know what it would take for me to call for an interim coach to be fired. But if you roll out this again and you get your ass beat and you don't change it, then call up Coach Shekel, right? And then let's see what he can do up here, because this is, oh my God, my blood pressure is way too high right now.
Yeah.
And even if this was Curtin's thing, man, this is clearly not how it's supposed to look. It's very clearly not what it's supposed to look like.
I'm with you, man. Right, we might not get the formation changes, the tactical changes we desire. Do you have any lineup changes that you desire. I think, right, if you go away from the 5-back, maybe you see some changes there. I want to see Joe Rosales back in there for sure.
Please.
But I don't think you necessarily, like, if you go 4-4-2 diamond, like, can you have a Shimmy and a Rosales out there, in those midfield spots? I would just love to see that 4-4-2 diamond be implemented here, because that's at this point what I know Jim Curtin has run in the past. And I would like to see that outside of this experimentation that seems to be going on again. And like, we might be, depending on what we see or what we learn between now and Sunday or the coming weeks, we might snap back on some of these claims or some of these desires, right? But like, where we're sitting here today, to me, it's get Joe Rosales back into this lineup. 3DP. I mean, I guess here's a question. Would you be okay if you benched one of the 3DPs and either Mirtu or BV? I don't think you're benching Facu, right? I think that if you're benching one of them, it's get the two forwards away from each other.
I don't think I would like that. I think there is a tenuous grasp on a lot of these players right now and their level of frustration.
Yeah, the mental side of it.
We're already losing guys. I want to see our 23-year-old dude who just played in the fucking World Cup play. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you.
I don't know if BV, working him back, he's clearly still got to get to his prior form.
Yeah.
So like, he's got to start, in my opinion. I think also you got to start Ozuni. Like we talked about, as frustrating as it has been at times with him, he leads the team in goal contributions right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was doing that with a depleted lineup behind him. Now you actually have your guys, and we're going to just put them all out of position. I don't get it. I don't think there's a great, maybe Joseph Rosales is the best look at the left wing back. If you're going to do this inverted shit, maybe that's the best look. And he was there, right, to start the Seattle game.
He was on the right.
Yes. Okay. So like, maybe he can do that, because I haven't seen him fail at a position that we put him in the entire time I've been watching this dude. But it's clear you can't start Biru in this left center back look.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want a 4-back. We're more comfortable with it. The guys are way more comfortable with it. If you can get some health news on Dessler, obviously not expecting a start out of him, but when he's lined up in that right fullback position, this team is better, period. But we can get some time out of Johnny and move him around, man. But like, yeah, I want to see Jaden Nelson fucking play.
Yeah.
I want to see him on the field. And if you can't find a way to get him on the field, that's your fault.
Yeah. And it's a problem.
It's a huge problem right now.
Again, not knowing, we don't know the full story, because again, it could be actions by a player that if you learned about him, maybe you'd be like, well, yeah, can't play him, something like that. But we don't know that right now. So I'm with you. I want to see Jaden Nelson play in some capacity here. And I also, going back to media availability questions, maybe, can Heinzike play 90 this week? Because he subbed out early, right? Still recovering from that hamstring. I don't have super high hopes for that, but I also am not like,
I'm also not want him to play 90?
I mean, do you want Djordjevic to come in? Like, I don't know. I'm fairly indifferent on our center backs and who plays right now. What I do know is if you run the fucking 5-back again, like Svatok as the point man on the back line in the middle is not good enough. And like, if we are going to play like we're watching Jim Curtin teams play on film, I don't know if there's a spot for Alexander Svatok in this team going forward. So he's, again, almost everybody is likely on the block here. But now we're getting into the kind of the future discussions here. Unless you have anything else to add, E, what's the score this Saturday?
I might just be in a super bad place because I've convinced myself that Dave Yardneau is just doing this shit on a whim right now. Yeah. And I just have no confidence in what this team is going to look like and how they're going to perform. And I don't think there's a whole lot of evidence to suggest that predicting a win here is a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and do it.
There he is. Let's go. What do we got?
Oh, Christ. 2-1, Austin.
I'm with you as well. I'm holding on to that hopium, man. No Rob Holding, right? A team that is performing just about as bad as Austin FC over the full season, not necessarily right now, but 2-1 wins for both of us. Foolish? Maybe. But do we care how you get it done, boys? No. Just bring us back the 3 points.
Come on down to Farmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's last business day.
Last business day here on episode 321 of the North End Podcast. EFCito, of course, on Sunday. It's how we left off the last episode, examining that starting unit for Austin FC2, taking on Dynados Sunday night. We know, right? CJ in up top. Eric Lauta was back in net. Your first choice back for Jorge Alistue, back in there with the armband. Let's go through some of the game notes from this one. It was an early yellow card to Eric Feliciano in the fourth minute for simulation, which may not have helped Austin FC on a penalty shout later in that half, which I thought was a fair shout, was not given. Of course, no VAR at the next pro level. And 25th minute here, in my mind, watching this one, against the run of play. Houston is building out of the back, able to progress it to Austin's final third down that left side. There's a shot attempt by the midfielder Arana from the top of the 18, left center of net. That shot's blocked accidentally by his teammate, Arthur Souza. That block deflects the ball up into the air, pings around a couple times. Marcel Roussel tries to clear it, scuffs it pretty spectacularly backwards into the area where Arana nods it down to Reese Miller. He crosses it back to Souza. Souza, all kinds of space, 10 yards out, rips it home for the lead. And that's how we got to the half, 1-0 Houston.
Yeah, tough one there. Good Houston Dynamo team for sure. This was a fun match.
Coming out of the half, we do have 2 changes for Austin. Abarca and Christian Ayala in for Micah Burton and Marcel Roussel. 59th minute, triple sub for Houston. 2 minutes later, another double change for Austin. Dubersarsky and Saul come in for CJ and Feliciano. 2 minutes later, Aparecido from Houston gets a yellow card just for spiking the ball after a call he didn't like. I don't necessarily disagree with his frustrations there, but you spike the ball, you're going to get a yellow. 71st minute, Reese Miller, right? He's one of those homegrown assets for Houston's first team. That fullback there. Miller comes off injured for Dynados. 3 minutes later, yellow card to Christian Ayala. High challenge right on the edge of the 18. I think Ayala was lucky that it wasn't a foot further towards net. Would have been a clear pen. But getting desperate late on here. 86th minute, FCito off a throw-in, or it's a Houston throw-in, near side to the broadcast camera in their own half. They go all the way back to their goalkeeper, who plays it short to one of the center backs, and he's closed down immediately by the Austin FC2 press, and in his hurry to get rid of the ball, doesn't put nearly enough oomph on this pass back to his keeper. So Ibrahim Assal steps in, taps it to Ayala, and Christian slots home the equalizer, his second goal in as many games. And now you think, surely we're headed to pens. 89th minute, ball comes into the area from Riley Thomas out on the right towards Saul, and it gives Ibrahima a headed chance in front of net, but he bounces it down into the ground, up into the arms of the Houston keeper. And in the 90th minute, Dubersarsky picks up a yellow card for a foul on the far side of the field. So now we go to penalties. Everyone on both sides makes their shots until Pat Coyelli's effort in round 5 gets saved. Eric Lauta unable to keep things alive on his end. So Dynados, for the second time this season, taking a second point off Austin FC2, but also second time this season, late equalizer for Austin to, you could also look at it from stealing a point both times against Houston. So it is a 1-1 final with Dynados taking that extra point. You take a look at the table, still have first place locked down right now, 2-point lead on Dynados but Houston still a game in hand on Austin. So again, we expect these two clubs to go back and forth the rest of the season, and they will meet once more September 4th out there in Houston. So you can go get your get back there in September.
Tough one, man. You generate 20 shots, a lot of decent chances. You're in their box a lot of the night, and you just couldn't find a way to put yourself over the line here. Not to take anything away from Houston, high quality team at this level. Tough one for Austin. You got the point, though. We'll take that, but we'll see these guys again, and I think we're probably going to see them in the playoffs as well. So we'll get our get back.
Yeah, you at least have the opportunity for that, and that's what you want in a situation like this. We're going to see our guys again Saturday. You've got another double header here. This is a 7 p.m. Central kickoff for Austin FC 2, taking on San Jose Earthquakes 2. So no longer the Town FC that lasted 2 seasons. Back to Quakes 2 they go. All-time head-to-head between these two clubs. Even 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses for Austin FC 2. And so far, the cadence was Quakes win, Austin win. Draw, Quakes win, Austin win. So pattern says this is a draw. Hopefully we're going to get 3 points on the road here. This season, Quakes 2, 8 wins, 3 draws, 7 losses, 37 goals for, and just 23 conceded, but only 28 points from those 18 games. That's only good enough for the 9 seed. So they are sitting on the outside looking in currently to the playoff picture, but you can see on the screen right now in the table, 2 games in hand for Quakes 2 on 5 teams above them. So on a points per game basis, this is currently a playoff team. Some players to watch if you're tuning into this one before the first team's match starts an hour and a half after kickoff of this one. Quakes 2 led in contributions and scoring by 21-year-old forward. It's number 52, Julian Donnery, 6 goals, 4 assists in 17 starts. 17 appearances, 12 starts. Also with 6 goals is number 90, midfielder Zach Bohane, 6 goals, 1 assist, 16 appearances, 13 starts. 4 goals apiece for both 19-year-old forward, number 70, Tomo Allen, and number 23-year-old forward, number 99, Shane DeFlores. And then number 17, 17-year-old, number 29. This is a homegrown midfielder for the Quakes first team, Kadron Spivey, 3 goals, 3 assists in his 15 starts. So there's some players to watch for Quakes 2 for Austin. Is CJ going to be with these guys going forward, or was that a one-off? The way the first team 20 has been set the first 2 games out of the break. In my eyes, man, again, I know CJ probably does not like this, and that may be putting it kindly. Yep. But if he's not going to be in the team for whatever decisions these coaches are seeing in practice with the first team, then I do want him continuing to play and get minutes somewhere, and the second team is the place for that. So what are your thoughts on maybe what you want to see here lineup-wise, your thoughts on CJ, anything for you on the Austin side of things?
I think, again, going back to guys who are potentially out of place because of the formations we've been running, where would you play CJ in the lineup that we've seen the last 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, it's backing up Ramirez. Right?
Exactly.
I'm going to play Christian Ramirez, who's got 5 fucking goals already in such limited time. And then, you could also play him out there in place or backing up Mirtu, because CJ is naturally a left winger. Yeah. But I've got him behind Jaden Nelson there. Yeah. So and again, maybe if Nelson's not in the team, maybe that allows CJ to come back in. But I think it's a good point. The current formation that we've seen the last 2 games is not friendly to CJ getting minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, making the most of some of his best attributes in those formations as well. So I'm with you. I would like to, I want to see him play, continue to develop, and just get out there and do his thing. So I'm not sure if he's going to be down there with the next pro team going forward, but I know the team would appreciate that and be a better club with him there. There's not a whole lot that I have from the lineup. We've been able to work all kinds of different starting lineups with this next pro club because we have a ton of depth and guys are going out there and they're performing. You jump back to the Houston match there. You get the 2 changes at halftime. Ayala ends up getting the goal because of that sub. So there's a lot of things that this team can work with. And I think you're just going to bounce back because there's tiers in this Western Conference right now. And Austin, even though you didn't get the full 3 points from this last matchup with Houston, is in tier 1 in my book. Yeah.
Well, unless you have anything else to add here, how much is tier 1 Austin FC2 winning by on Saturday night?
I'm going to go 3-1 here, especially if CJ's down there. I like the 3-goal expectation because that team can score.
Yeah. No, I'm going to go 3-2 because I think San Jose can score as well. I think this could turn into a barn burner. 3-2 for me, 3-1 for E. Don't care how you get it done, boys. Just bring us home the 3 points. And E will close it out with the nonsense. Ever since we bragged on the return of the picks and that successful short slate, we have gone downhill. Pick'em entry did return last week, and we were on our way to a hit there before Morgan Gilavogi decided to get a first half red card. So that was unfortunate. The picks were fine in the midweek games, but we did end up losing 7.25 units, and I believe all 3 of the picks don't come through. Goal scorers have also been a little bit down for us coming out of the break. So you lose 7.25 units, still plus 10.07 units on the season at the books, E, and you're hanging on by a thread with the pick'ems plus 0.13 units right now. But of course, full slate coming this Saturday. I think we have a one Friday night game there, I believe, NYCFC and Toronto. So probably no picks for that game, but 14 MLS matches for our Saturday. So Saturday morning, northendpodcast.com or the Instagram story if you want to tail those picks. And now, E, we've got some movement in the best ball streets, starting, of course, with the Verdes Best Ball League here. We are Austin TV. And look, we did have week 16 scores, did not get those out in time to really post them, but everybody involved saw those scores. So this is after 2 weeks of scoring here coming back in the Verdes Best Ball League. We are Austin still out in front, about to cross that 1,000-point mark for the season. Again, this is the exact halfway point of the season. Look who's in second, though. Only 57 points back halfway through. North End Podcast. And on our ass now, them VP boys winning week 17 to move into the top 3. Soccer-wise, they're in 4th, Verde all day in 5th, and Moon Tower still looking for a big week to catch up to the field. So we did just have a little mini transfer draft across all leagues this last week coming out of the break. So everybody is revitalized. We've got the persistent zeros out of our lineups and looking to continue that climb, man. We got half a season left to get up over the We Are Austin boys.
It's going to be fun. We got to get our first championship, man. We got to do it.
Yeah, it's about time in the game we created. Here's the best ball pyramid, starting as we typically do with the Sentimiento League. And E, pirate ships in your mirror are closer than they appear. Brian Hensley wins again, a 62 in week 17. Brian, who toiled the majority of the first half in the bottom 3 of the Sentimiento League, now in 3rd. It is still TJ up top, with Ari's in 2nd, B there in 3rd, and Texrex holding on to 4th in the Sentimiento League. Over in the Heartbeat League, it is Mike Crignola taking the Week 17 dub. It's still Peach up top, E, but between 2nd and 7th is just 37 points separating those 6 teams. So in order, Josh Dwyer, Mike, ZG, the Statman Tim Thompson, Aaron, and Dave Ruth, all packed together there in the war brewing here down the second half of the season in the Heartbeat League. And then you go over to the Rooted League, E. There has been some movement. I see you squinting. Do I need to zoom in on 3rd place, E, in the Rooted League here? And it's not Turbo Trevor. We'll give him his credit. Trevor was in 1st after week 16. But it's Schnorb Jones winning his 4th straight week in the Rooted League, surging to the top spot on 977 points. So top 4 in the Rooted, Schnorb, Trev, E, and Logan Oqua. And that means, E, when you open up the Premier League race, we have a new leader. Once again, it was Trevor week 16. Got to give him his flowers there.
Yep.
It is currently Schnorb Jones. So right now, if the season ended today, the Premier League next season would be Schnorb Jones, Trevor, E, Peach, Tej, Aries, Josh, and Mike Crignola. Sneaking in there over the first 4 out, Logan, ZG, Brian on the leaderboard, and the stat man, Tim Thompson. So another full slate coming up this weekend. These leagues, again, did their transfer drafts as well, so everybody's feeling revitalized here, and we've seen some significant table movement.
I mean, I'm not feeling revitalized. I got screwed.
Well, tell the people what happened to your team.
I mean, if Messi plays, I scored the most points in the double game week. That's very obvious. And also, Hugo Kuiper's, on the way out, just a golden boot leader, so we can get a 38-year-old striker over here to Chicago.
Yeah.
So,
and what pick do you have in the transfer draft if you're in first?
Dead last, and it's not Snake for some reason because ZG's fucking socialist.
Look at the complaints of the wealthy. My goodness.
It's bullshit. Whatever. Once Messi starts playing, I'll fine.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else for you here, man, before we shut it down?
Oh, please win, Austin.
Yeah.
We
could take it.
Come on.
We would take it. We could use it. Man, because the Leagues Cup gauntlet is next, So we appreciate everybody tuning in, sticking with us here on episode 321 of the North End podcast. We are back on Sunday, recapping the first team's matchup against the Rapids, recapping the second team's trip out to San Jose, previewing the first Leagues Cup match against Hiomora and Tijuana, and of course, talking about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We will do the same, and we'll see you back here on Sunday for another episode. Until then, Heezy, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.